Left-wing liberals more strongly identify along ideological axes. This is why, for instance, they cannot tolerate the company of those with differing worldviews, white liberal chicks being the absolute worst. And although there isn't enough data at hand at present, one can suspect that shitlibs are more likely to wander and become itinerants, always looking for a shiny new city to infest. Personality studies have found that liberals tend to be more novelty-seeking, or to put it less charitably, they tend to have higher disgust thresholds. This desire for novelty and filth probably contributes to the shitlib born-to-run-away compulsion. They just can't handle too much niceness, whiteness, order, and comfortable functionality. The rootlessness of the modern liberal is intimately connected to their ideological fence-guarding in a positively reinforcing feedback loop. She leaves home for a strange new locale, loses touch with everyone before her, then finds new friends at work, bar crawls, or expediently through shared housing. Each move in her life brings more severing of social connections, and greater stress finding and stringing together replacements, family connections most often being surrendered for good. There's very little organic or authentic thread tying together the nomadic shitlib with her new sets of friends. No common upbringing, no schooling experiences, no history or unique local culture, and most importantly, no shared memories which are the most powerful bonding agents. Into this toxic atomization, the one binding vector strong enough to overcome the disintegration of traditional social and family bonds is ideology. A fevered, frantic, hysterical attachment to ideology becomes the substitute for natural bonds, and the liberal leans on ideological identification, in herself and in those who would be unwittingly auditioning for inclusion in her social circle, to screen for friends who will meet the lowest standard in friendship, someone who won't irritate her with an opposing viewpoint. This is why the shitlib friendship, and similarly romantic relationships in the big blue cities are typically superficial, transient, and transactional. The only common ground is hatred of X and how one votes. When ideology is the foundation of a friendship, those mystic unspoken bonds of reassuring familiarity get twisted into a grotesque facsimile of affinity, one based on an overweening insistence of ideological compatibility and purity. With nothing else to connect them to each other, the liberals rely on ideology to shoulder the burden of standing in for the missing authenticity. And ideology can work for a while, as a value substitute and proxy for relationship complementarity, to create and maintain relationships, which is why city chicks will stress shared values and Trump voters swipe left when poll shopping. But woe to the friend who steps out of line one day and utters a deplorable bit of crime think through the bottom of a cocktail glass. When ideology is the glue, a trivial difference of opinion on a point of order can feel like a gross betrayal. The problem is in the long run. Besides the odd lapse into crime think, shitlib relationships dissolve easily and perfunctorily, with work relocations and life stage changes that demand more social involvement and commitments than simply ideological conformism. The liberal is bothered by these demands because they throw into stark relief the inauthentic nature of their friendships. What is evident to the meanly keen observer is that shitlib friendships start to take on the veneer of artifice, fraying at the edges and duct-taped by snark and late-night talk show references. The very fact that these liberals strive so hard for social authenticity prevents them from ever realizing their goal. They are their own worst frenemies. If you have to try to be cool, you aren't. And since conservative has become the new cool, operating as the only authentic counterculture in the West at present, it can be argued that right-wing politics are about as hip as they've been in a very long while. This bodes well for the younger men in the movement, for grounded mate-seeking women with European backgrounds historically attract towards risk-takers who exhibit a minimal standard of SMV, and this will undoubtedly get their honeypots wet enough to climb over the political fence and into the arms of their rightful men again. This is how the demographic divide will be retaken. Pussy hatters and carpet munchers be damned, for the god of biomechanics is now waking up from his slumber.